All right, so we've been using this off and on for a few years. We've done longer bouts than others. We've used it up to 3 months. We have people in class that have been using it for 3 months plus, some up to a couple years as well. Sometimes I just take the turmeric, and I've tried just taking the omegas. Taking them together works good. Has the turmeric and the omegas. It's really good. Japanese knotweed extract. That stuff alone does work really good as well. Epimedium. It's interesting stuff to learn about. Yeah, so I would say after careful consideration and analysis, it does work great for inflammation, pain, energy. Yeah, kind of like that mental, how sometimes you just feel, maybe get a lethargic feeling. Lame, kind of just don't want to do anything. Yeah, a lot of people say it helps with that too. I'm glad you mentioned that. I agree with you. I think just in general, where it's helping with the inflammation, it kind of sets the wheels in motion to ease other things too. Yeah, kind of like pressure on one end can create pressure or resistance on another. But yeah, we like this stuff. Works very good. If anyone's interested, a lot of people were asking about it and wanted to know how it worked. We like it. Yeah, it's probably not on the norm. We eat a lot of turmeric in our regular diet. There's teas and so many other things we get it in. But this is nice to have on hand. To have it in supplement form. You can't always make a nice strong soup and get that kind of a big dose of turmeric. We used to make those turmeric balls. Yeah, you can make them pretty tasty with the right ingredients. So you're getting 667 milligrams. Do you know how much turmeric, like the spice, you would have to eat? Right. Exactly. Yeah, so how much of this would I have to put in to a soup to equal 667 milligrams? Can we find that out? Because it's 2 capsules, right? So 1 capsule would be 333 and a half. Right? 333.5, yeah? If you just take one. The fish oil is a product of Chile and Norway. All right. Yeah, so the fish oil too, you're getting 1,400 milligrams. Probably have to eat a lot of fish to get that amount, huh? Want to look that up? That would be fun to do diagrams and show the supplement or whatever other form you can get it in. I know there's teas, tinctures. There's topical. Yeah, kind of make diagrams and compare. No, I'm still going to eat turmeric. I love turmeric. You put a little bit in with any of those miso or ramen or pho broths. the miso or the ramen works better for this particular dish. You just put a touch into that broth with a little bit of garlic, salt and pepper. You don't have to put the pepper. A very small pinch of celery seed. And it tastes just like the old style ramen noodles. Yeah, we were doing that. People were trying to make mimicry dishes of the cuppa. Remember the cuppa noodles? And then you had the ramen noodles. Top ramen and the cuppa noodles. Yeah. Our childhoods, yeah. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, top ramen, cuppa noodles, devil's ham, a lot of sugar. Chicken pot pies, handmade fries, cold cuts, warm pies, foods without dyes. Don't cry. And let it go. Cry your eyes out. I cry like a baby at least once a day. Sometimes it's on the inside. You know, the outside expression doesn't always match. Exactly. I could look angry and I'm laughing on the inside, and I could be laughing on the outside and just be absolutely horrified, angry, and sad on the inside, and it's just mad laughter. Yeah, don't be deceived. Have you ever heard the term, never judge a book by its cover? Speaking of books, want to do a random one from here, or here. They all look the same, but trust me, they're all different. Which one? The second? Okay. You got Wisdom of the East. It's a good one. Page 17. Each of the great races of the East has produced literature which in a measure reflects its own ethnic nature. One may venture without taking account of finer shadings and outstanding exceptions to make certain broad characterizations. In Egypt, corresponding to the rise and fall of the Nile, we're at 808. Okay. Rise and fall of the Nile. One finds, no, it's actually 8:46 here. I meant the time into this video is 8 minutes and 8 seconds. In Egypt, corresponding to the rise and fall of the Nile, one finds a marked alteration between the gay and the grave, with a notable practicality in both. On the one hand, devotion to all the luxuries and joys of this life. On the other hand, devotion to the gods and to the provision for the life to come, but always with a shrewd eye to the ego's own welfare, both here and hereafter. Among the Sumerians and the Chinese, practicality seems the key note. Idealism is seldom found. The platitudes of a Confucius replace any true spirituality. In fact, it appears safe to affirm that whatever a real depth there is in Chinese literature is due to the spirituality and brotherly love of the Mahayana type of Buddhism, carried from India to China. The struggles for existence waged by their ancestors, first in their prehistoric homeland and then along the rivers of Mesopotamia and China, had apparently bequeathed to their descendants racial memories too profound to be eradicated when their lives became easier and their civilizations more developed. In Japan, one finds a similar lack of spiritual depth, except once more for the influence of Buddhism. But here, thanks to the evolution of a feudal system in the island confines, there are a knightly spirit and a devotion to others than self that make Japanese literature living and real. And there is, too, not merely an observation, but a true love of nature that is without counterpart in the Orient, except possibly in India or even in the classical world. The Indo-European Indians and Iranians reveal preeminently a spirit of independence and individuality. Deeply religious, they nevertheless feel themselves to be on what may be called terms of respectful good fellowship with their deities, and they cultivate the jobs both of body and of soul without falling into any morbid extremes. In Iran, this spirit defied even the dampening influence of Muhammadanism, and the devastation of the Mongols. In India, on the contrary, the original Indo-European genius seems to have been sapped after the oldest, or verdict period, by the far lower civilization and outlook of the aborigines among whom they came. There is some ground for the belief that the great curses of India today has for many centuries, child marriage, belief in karma, and the transmigration of souls, the pessimism which denies the value of the individual and makes life a deceitful futility, the hypertrophy of the analytic faculty with an accompanying atrophy of the power to synthesize. All these, and many more, are due to Dravadian and other Aboriginal influence. And yet, despite these handicaps imposed from without, the literature of India is marked by a very real love of beauty, both of form and of content. It has the majesty of the epic and the humor of the epigram. The ratiocinations of an acute, if not very profound philosophy, the transparently sincere outpourings of almost every phase of religious thought, a vivid interest in each aspect of human activity which it knew. Its worst literary fault is an extreme and well-nigh incredible, artificially, makes no sense. Its worst literary fault is an extreme and well-nigh incredible, artificially, though this is found only in the period of decadence, when inventive genius had become exhausted, and when it was considered better to say an old thing in a new way than a new thing in any way. To say an old thing in a new way, or say a new thing in any way. Can you make sense of that sentence? I'm reading it right, I believe. I read it a few times. Its worst literary fault is an extreme and well-nigh incredible, artificially, though this is found only in the period of decadence, when inventive genius had become exhausted, and when it was considered better to say an old thing in a new way than a new thing in any way. You're welcome. All right. Thank you. Yes. Much love, health, and peace always.